Hey guys, welcome to my channel. What's up? Today I'm going to be making chili. I have a really good chili recipe that I finally found. I've scoured the internet. I've asked my family. I don't like a dry chili, nor do I like a really watery chili. But if I have a watery chili, I can still eat it kind of like a bean soup. But today I will be making a chili recipe that I've made a few times now and I quite like. This is where I keep my garlic that's drying. Let's see, can you see that here? So I just have it here in this area. It's just hanging on the wall here. I live in the Pacific Northwest, as I've mentioned before, and so this I planted last October and it gave us a great abundant little guy here. So we'll be probably taking these huge ones here that we have and we'll be replanting them in my guerrilla garden that I have going come this October, so pretty soon, and we'll see about how much that gives us next year. What I'm going to be doing here is just blending up some, I have some just cherry tomatoes here and some sun-dried tomatoes that I bought from the store, and I'm gonna blend those up and make a kind of like a paste. I kind of typically wing it whenever I'm making chili. I mean, it's kind of like a throw it together kind of thing. But I recently discovered that, hey, you could just blend up a bunch of sun-dried tomatoes and make pastes out of them. You don't really have to, go through the whole, getting some can of something or whatever. I don't really like to use canned anything. The beans that I'm going to be using today too, those are actually, I cook those myself. I buy them from Winco, and we have a store here called Winco here in the Pacific Northwest. I love it. You can buy everything in bulk. And yeah, I buy all my beans, my grains, things like that from them. And then what I do is just, the typical, hey, gotta let it sit for a couple hours overnight usually, and then I cook them in a slow cooker for about 4 hours on low. That's worked for me so far. So I've gone ahead and cut up the shallots. I don't know if you've ever tried shallots, but shallots are really good. I cut them up already, but they're small kind of onion type things. They're very flavorful. I love them. So instead of using proper onions, I just went for that because they have a really good flavor. I grew up in the Midwest, and chili was like a staple, especially in the winter months. Like I said, live out here in Oregon, and it's a little different, obviously, the flavor palettes and profiles and stuff and what people like to eat, but I still hold certain things to heart and keep those things, my roots so to speak. So yeah, I've already cut that up. You could just see it there. It's gonna cook down. I put a little bit of olive oil in there. I always cook on medium. So something important that I learned not too long ago is that you'd want to salt in between every time you add something to whatever it is that you're cooking, especially when it comes to soups. You don't want to over salt it by any means, but add a little bit of salt here and there. So I will be doing that and cutting up these tomatoes. I already made my tomato paste, like I mentioned before, that I was going to be doing, so pretty cool. And I'll add that to that, and I'll be back. Alright, so I'm letting these cook down just a little bit. I just want them to brown. I don't want them to go all out and go crazy and cook over. So I like to add wine to I get this at Costco. It's just a regular Pinot Grigio, it says product of Italy, which is pretty cool. I drink it sometimes while I cook. I'm going to add a bit of this wine to the pot. I prefer wine. You can add a beer. Some people do that. I've done that before. Certainly you can do that if you like, if that's your thing, if you like beer more than wine, or whatever you have on hand, to be honest with you. Some people probably add vodka. What do I know? Alcohol in some way, shape, or form. You can always add the water kind of later. You don't want to kind of dump it all in and be like, okay, I have all my liquid in and it's like really good to go. Because you might not like that. You might not like how much liquid's in there and you'd rather prefer it a little more dry. So this is kind of a way that you can kind of just keep an eye on it and make your own choices as you go along. So now I'm going to add the diced tomatoes that I just diced up. I kind of need to grab a few of these. My regular just tomatoes that I buy. I don't buy everything from like a farmer's market. This isn't like my MO. I know that a lot of people do that and that's just the way they like it, you know. Right now, I go to farmers markets or places like that and I am a deal kind of person. So if I find something that's like, wow, that's insane, I'm gonna buy that. I feel good with that. Or if I could just go to the local Winco and buy something there that I find, you know, I'm just gonna look for the right price. And I know it's great to buy local and farmers and all of that. And, you know, someday I want to be a farmer, or at least to some extent. But if I can't find it for the price that I feel comfortable paying, you know, I'm just going to get what I need to get where I can get it, you know. So not everybody's going to agree with me on that. That's totally fine. But that's how I feel, you know. I have so much money that I can make stretch, and if I feel like it's overpriced, well, I'm gonna look elsewhere, which is normal. That's how markets work. I really like where I live. I live in just a simple townhouse, you know. I've lived here for a few years now, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I actually prayed to God for this place and to have a really good relationship with the person that I rent from, and I really do. I have a really good relationship. She's an older woman. She's very, very sweet. She brings us jams and things like that. I also make jams and share with her, and the other day I dropped off some jam and did I make sourdough for her? Anyway, I've made sourdough for her in the past. Oh, I made sauerkraut, which someday I'll make a video about that and show you guys my process. But yeah, I took it to her and she's like, I feel like it's Christmas. So she's really sweet, and a couple weeks later, you know, she shows up on our doorstep with some, she makes some really good plum, and we just ate the whole jar that she gave us previously. So now we got a new jar and we can dig into that and enjoy that. I'll just turn you over here so you'll see stuff in the background. I live here. This is my life. I can't be embarrassed by it, and I can't be perfect. Not like any of us are. So I am going out on a limb here, showing you things that otherwise wouldn't be in the camera shot, but that's all right. And I have added some salt here. You might see me like just grabbing, putting it in my hand. That's how I measure things. The hand, the you know, the little pocket of your hand here. That's to me like the size of a. You could make it small. That could be the size of a teaspoon. You can make it a little bit bigger, and that's the size of a tablespoon, at least to me. So yeah. These herbs, it calls for, so starting at the beginning, a tablespoon of olive oil, 3 large garlic cloves. You'd want to dice those up. 1 chopped onion. This time I just went with what I have. I love shallots, and so they're just so flavorful. So I went ahead and used 3 shallots in this one. So 1 chopped onion. 2 celery stalks. I have some celery that's in my fridge. I don't know if it's very good. I'm going to check it out. If it's good, I'll use it. If it's not, I'm not going to use it. I'll just toss it in the compost bin. 3 full cups of tomatoes diced. So I think I've done at least a decent job here with cutting up my tomatoes and making that 3 cups. You could probably make it 1.5 cups, 2 cups. You know, it's chilly, right? And if you have salsa, like in your fridge, any kind of salsa, I actually made some salsa. I might dump a little bit in there. And what I did was, like I told you, I added a bit of wine to just kind of get some liquid going. 3 cups of beans, a teaspoon of sugar. I think I'll add that. Takes the edge off of the acidity. Yeah, sweet. I added that little snuggin. And I'll add the bay leaf in a wee bit here. Some chili powder. I have some chipotle, like cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is kind of spicy to me if you add too much, so I'll add, here I am using a spoon just after I told you guys about that, but you know, this depends. And I think I'll add some mustard powder to this. I like mustard powder. I love mustard in my food, so I'll add a 1/4 of a teaspoon of mustard powder to that. And I will add, check this out. I made from the garlic shoots and the onion shoots that kind of come up whenever you plant those. They just kind of come up with a little shoot while you plant it, and then it goes, and then it wants to flower, right? So you want to snip that puppy off before it goes too far. So this is a onion and garlic shoot salt. So I made that a couple weeks ago. I'll add that in, just a little bit more salt here. And calls for some red pepper flakes, so I'll just add a little bit, not too much. Like I said, chilies, I just don't really go for crazy spicy. You can add more, you can add less, you can add a jalapeno to this with the seeds, without the seeds. It's just really up to you. I like paprika. I don't know how much flavor it gives, but I have fond memories of deviled eggs and paprika, so there you go. And that's probably it. Oh, I could add some pepper. I'll add some pepper to this. And like I said, I added some oregano, but this is actually, this is just an Italian herbs mix that I make. I just chop out of my garden, dry them out. I hang them up to dry in my little area back here. You might not be able to see it, but I hang them in this window. They upside down and they dry. That's the best way to dry herbs, if you ask me. You know, I don't have a dehydrator. I don't want really necessarily one. If somehow, some way, someday I end up with a dehydrator, wonderful, great. I might play around with it. Who knows what I'll do with it, but for now and in general, I wouldn't ever dry my herbs with a dehydrator. I don't think that's, it just takes all the nutrients out, and why dry them with a fancy machine whenever, you know, that takes a lot of electricity, and not to mention it's just takes all the nutrients out of the herb. So I don't do that. So if you're looking for a cost-effective way to dry herbs from your, you know, little humble garden outside, you know, try that. And I'm going to add some cumin. I also speak Spanish. Some of the things that I have labeled in my house are in Spanish, so that might happen from time to time where I kind of make that little slip, but it's, hopefully it doesn't inconvenience too much. So what I've gone ahead and done was added all my spices here, and I might add more stuff as I taste it and go along, but I've added my spices to what we call like a refrito in Spanish here. And so the refrito is just the onions, the tomatoes, and garlic, and a cup of wine right now, white wine. And then I've added all of my herbs and spices and salt and pepper already here. And now what I will do is add my delicious, just making sure I'm not missing anything. The celery stalks, I don't know. I'll see if I add those. It shouldn't hurt if I add them now or later. And then I'll just add my beans here. I'll wash this bag and reuse it for something else. And I will add more wine because that's pretty dry. I'll add I'm gonna look at this. This celery here, you know, gotta use what you got. I'm a use what you got kind of gal. seems fine. And now I will add this paste. Like I said, I made this of some sun-dried tomatoes that I had on hand. And this is kind of the way that I make my pasta sauce now. I have my sun-dried tomatoes, I blend them up in my little blender thing. I bought this for like $12, really cheap. So I'm gonna mix that in. Get all the flavors in here, married together. I think I will add a cup of water to this pot here. I always have boiled water just kind of ready to go whenever I'm cooking. Probably like see me use this all the time. I'm gonna add about a cup of water to this or less. Give this a taste. It's a bit spicy, but I think I should let that cook down for a little while and then come back. I might add a bit more of this oregano, rosemary, marjoram is in here as well. Thyme is also in here. So now, oh, I'm gonna add a bay leaf. Bay leaves, you just pop them in, and then at the end I just snag them out of there so we don't end up eating it. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do is turn this down to number 4 on my little kitchenette here and let it cook, simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes, and then I'll come back and give it a taste and see if it needs anything else. Hey guys, so I just came back down here and it's looking pretty good, also smelling really good. I am going to just give this a stir with one hand, make sure nothing's sticking to the bottom. And I would call this probably done. Let me just taste it. Super hot, so I don't want to burn myself. I think I added a little bit too much of the spice, like I told you guys to be wary of, but I think that it is just fine. It's gonna be all right. I'm still gonna eat it, still gonna like it. I'm gonna add this. Turn it off because my beans will just continue to cook and go insane, and I don't want that. But I'm gonna let that just finish off, and then whenever I serve it up later on when we're hungry, because we work from home, I will put some sour cream on top. Don't have any crackers, probably just some regular run-of-the-mill Lay's potato chips. Because we don't have crackers, and then I will also add some, probably my favorite hot sauce and cilantro as toppings. So hopefully you guys did enjoy that. I know that my videos are still new, and I'm gonna hopefully get the hang of this thing, and they'll just get better as I progress on. But thanks for sticking in with me and learning how I make chili. I'll add a recipe to this in the description box below. Leave a comment if you have any tips or anything that you like to add into your chili that I didn't add here today or add in my recipe. So thanks everybody, see you next time.